We're having some fun today filming the free video tutorials of doing buttonholes on the Husqvarna Viking Brilliance 75 machine. I just finished up doing a manual buttonhole. We did an automatic buttonhole, and even just a reminder that buttonholes don't have to be all on fabric that is for garments. We can use them decoratively. We could do them with variegated threads. But now, once you have buttonholes, a lot of times we want to sew buttons on. And this machine has a great stitch that will just stitch them on super easy, and you don't even have to use a foot. So in our Stitching Cosmos course, we do talk about lots of techniques outside your manual or other places. We talk about how to make these fun tassels. We have pin tucks over here. We've got even some chenille where we layer fabrics and make different colors, so you don't even have to buy them. Everything matches. But let's talk a little bit more detailed about sewing buttons on, and we can do that with a stitch that is in our machine. Now we're still in the A utility menu, just past where the buttonholes in. Remember, you got lots of them, so even a straight stitch buttonhole. But stitch number 41 actually is and has a picture of a button, and it actually has now 4 dots in it. So like a 4-hole buttonhole, and I know my students always ask me, like, number 1, can it do all 4 holes? No, it's got to still do a zigzag. You just do it twice. So this is a little bit more of a representation of what a button looks like. So that's what we have. Now, when I touched it, I don't know if you could hear it, but something clicked. And that's actually on this machine, automatically the feed dogs lowered. And so you don't have to actually do that on this machine. You have control if they're up or down, but certain stitches, like this one, will automatically lower without you doing anything. So let's take a look. On screen, though, we don't have a foot. Do you see that it actually really has a picture of our multi-purpose tool, the one that actually sometimes helps us go up and over thick seams? So this tool is often pictured. So if you want to stitch your button with a distance, with a shank of thread, you actually put that in there and with it as a spacer. So that's an option for you. But we're going to skip that today. We're actually going to just take our fabric and we're going to place our button on it. And yes, we're going to do this with just the ankle. So that is exactly what it's showing. When we do touch the little information option, we have and see on screen where it says times 8. So that means it's going to go back and forth 8 times. You can actually make it do it more often or less. 8's kind of a nice amount. So not too heavy, not too thin. And yes, it will do the locking stitches at the end, so that's very, very secure when you're done. And then we're about ready to start. But this is the next thing everybody asks is, what? Wait, how does the machine know how wide the holes are on this button? Well, the machine doesn't know, but I will tell you about 99% of all buttons have the same distance in here. Now, it might look like an optical illusion when you take a big button and a small one, and they look wider, but they're not. You actually lay them on top of each other, and the holes line up. Now, there are buttons out there that are more custom made or a little different shape or size, and yes, you might need to check or increase or decrease how wide the swing of the needle is. So you have that control, but I will tell you, majority of your buttons, you're going to be able to sew on with the 3.0 preset stitch width. I'm going to show you right now how to be sure it's all set and then go from there. So it's super easy once we get started. Plus, we're going to do it twice because we do have a 4-hole button to stitch on. The first thing I always ask people to look at is which side is the needle more on? Because it's not in the center anymore, but it's hovering above the left side. So at this point, I'm going to move my button. So as I bring the needle down, and this is the only time you really see me touching my hand wheel, because I need to sink that needle into the left hole. So once you do that part, you're going to touch the foot down button on the front of the machine, and the ankle is going to come down and sit on the button. Next, you're going to go ahead, hand turn your swing of the needle. Did you see what went into the hole? That's what we're looking for. So go ahead and just stitch back and forth, and it will stop. That was 8 stitches. That's all you get. And if you do want, you can touch the scissor button. It will go into one of the holes. Now, traditionally, what I'll do is just slide myself back to the second set. Once again, sink the needle down into the hole, and then we'll do the little test swing. But if this is a smaller button and it still has 4 holes, sometimes you're going to need to turn it around. So you're working on the front part of the button, and then that will give more room for the ankle to sit on something back here. Once you really have one set though, that is holding the button in place, but that would be something that sometimes the buttons are a little oddly shaped, and it's not a lot for this ankle to sit on. So I'll just go ahead and do this. I know this one will work. And there is a optional Viking button sew on foot. It's actually pretty amazing, and that's what we do show in the Stitching Cosmos, but it allows you to put the button in the foot, it holds it, and then it doesn't matter how small it really is pretty slick. But if you're just doing it, you don't need a foot so much, but if you're doing a lot, that does speed up the process a ton. So let's just do this. I sunk the needle down to hold it, lower the presser foot down, hand turn the swing of the needle, and then stitch, and you're set to go. Now, I have found at times, especially if you use the scissor button in between things, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and do that, is if your button is a little bit thicker than traditional size, sometimes when you don't have bobbin thread showing on the top, it's cut just to the length that it is. It's not enough or long enough for it to come up into the button, and it looks like it's just not catching, so it stitches and then there's nothing there. All you need to do is just take your bobbin case door off, get a hold of this thread, kind of pull it out a little bit, and I just do this, is I just leave it, I don't cut it, so the length needs to be longer than traditional, so I just put the door back on and then sew with this tail sticking out. So that is going to be long enough for it to come up, connect, and not be missing when we're trying to stitch that button in place. So just know, or if you're doing lots of them and you know that's the case, just don't use the scissor button, and then just let the tails be long, both of them, on top above the throat plate, and you will be set to go, so it won't skip on there. All right, I hope you'll check out the free videos that we have for the Stitching Cosmos online course. There's links below for you to check out. And if any of our videos have been helpful, make sure you click like on every single one you watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can continue mastering your beautiful Husqvarna Viking machine.